What's up, guys? Welcome to another amazing production of Alex Isidore, and we got an interesting topic today when it comes to what kind of personality traits do ultra successful engineers usually have. Now, this is going to be an article that I actually found on interestingengineering.com, and I think that it's worth sharing with you all, and just to give you a little bit of insight of what kind of personality traits engineers usually share. If you're not there just yet, it doesn't mean that you're going to fail as an engineer. A lot of these you're also going to learn as you move forward with your experience. You're going to learn them as you move forward in your career. And so if you think that you don't have the personality traits that I'm about to show you, it doesn't mean that you cannot have them in the future. They're just some things that need to be developed. So I'm sharing them to you just to let you know that not everything is about technical skills. It's not just about being book smart, but as you will see here in the personality traits that I'll be sharing, it's also it's mainly honestly about the soft skills that you develop as you move forward in your career. So we're going to jump to the screen right here, and the title of the article, as you can see here, you can read, it's the top 12 personality traits. I would just leave it there. I would probably get rid of like ultra successful. I would say top 12 personality traits of engineers in general, but sure, I'll throw successful. Ultra successful, I don't know what this person means, but I think personally that it's a good gist of good personality traits for an engineer to have. So the first one is going to be being trustworthy. And the article says here, this is one of the personality traits that are built over time with the members of the organization, including your boss and team members. If the organization is built by trust, then projects will most likely have a positive outcome because the team members are working better together. It is also one of the most common causes of disputes in a team, which leads to people leaving or even betraying each other. Now, personally, I'm gonna be honest with you. I never experienced betrayal in the workforce, and that's just my experience. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not sure about other industries, other companies, but in my personal experience, people are fairly trustworthy, I want to say, and I think people understand the criticality of the work that we do, and so when it comes to being in the workplace and making some claims, one of the things that we require in the industry in which I am, you need to have your OQE. You need to have your objective quality evidence. So whenever you make a claim or whenever you provide a certain set of recommendations per se, you obviously have to explain why you're making such recommendations and provide your objective quality evidence. So that's one of the things that I think keeps people very, very trustworthy. And then number two, you have to be honest, speaking the truth. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? Like, you don't want to lie. You don't want to just make stupid fake claims just because you want to keep your job or because you think that you just want to get out of a certain situation. You have to be honest, and you have to tell what you really are thinking, because who knows, you may be preventing a catastrophe in the future. So especially if you're dealing with things that are going to be dealing with safety, right? As an engineer, so you want to tell what you're thinking of, and then obviously back up why you think a certain way. So number three, obviously clear communication skills. Again, that's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to jump over right next to the next one. So you want to make sure that you are concise, right? Basically, and then make sure that you're clear, as the title says. The fourth personality traits: team player, good working relationships, teamwork. Of course, I think that it's definitely important when it comes to group dynamics for engineers, especially because we deal a lot in teams, and so you want to be able to communicate. You want to be able to have a somewhat good relationship, and just be courteous with the people that you work with. It creates unnecessary conflict when you have big egos just clashing against each other, and nobody wants to say, yes, you're right, or no, I was wrong, or something like that. And again, and I'm not saying that you have to be, or that you should be best friends with everyone. That's not what I'm saying at all. Just be courteous, respectful, and then just be open with your communication. So number 5 here, we have the open-minded, seeing the big picture. That's a tough one, I think, for a lot of people, especially when you're an engineer and you're working on a very specific task, on a very specific part of a system. A lot of the times you get caught up in the details that you start losing the big picture, and sometimes you start going through your work and you realize, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not, I just don't get it. And then you realize the big picture of why, how, what you're doing, doing is going to have a ripple effect on the bigger mission of what you are working towards, or what your company it's working towards, So I want to also like bring it a whole, kind of like wrap it up and basically say that some of the people that are also going to keep your big picture going, you also, who knows, depending on the project that you're working on the complexity of it, you're also going to have project managers, and you're going to have systems engineers working with you. And I talked about this in the past, but the systems engineers are basically the ones that bring everything together, the integrators of a bunch of different multiple parts. And the project managers are the ones that run the project. And so a lot of times when you deal with these two different types of engineer or the project manager, you are going to be thinking more in terms of like in a wider scope, in the big picture, and how things are fitting together, what the schedule is like, what the budget is like. So that's going to help you develop that skill of being open-minded and seeing the big picture. Being open-minded, I think, also helps you think of new creative ways of achieving things. And I think it's helpful when it comes to finding solutions, especially to complex problems, Another thing, a couple of things that we have here, also like thinking ahead, being ready for the unexpected. Of course, one of the things that you run into, especially when you hit, I want to say, detailed design, and when you start hitting, when you start testing your prototype, when you're building something, a component, that's when you start really hitting the unexpected. I think, like I've said this in the past, and I think that's when true engineering really takes place, when you have a lot of constraints in place, and you have to adjust and adapt and find solutions basically at the last minute. That's when you start going through the last stages of detailed design, and you start going like picking like all the little layers, and you start realizing all these problems. At that point, you are already running short on time. You already like maybe even like running out of a budget. And so thinking ahead and being ready for the unexpected. Thinking ahead can definitely help you be ready for the unexpected, for sure, right? Or thinking ahead can mitigate the impact of the issues that you may run into in the future, of course. But sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. A lot of the times I ask the question, "What are the unknown unknowns?" Like, what do you mean, man? What are the unknown unknowns? I don't know the unknown unknowns. But these are just the things that people ask you, and then you're just forced to think about them. And when you're asked these questions, you are really forced to like approach a certain issue in different angles to provide solutions for things that may not even happen. So yeah, I agree. Like, thinking ahead is hard, and not many people are able to do it, for sure. I don't want to claim that I'm this like bright brain that just thinks ahead, and I'm a big thinker when it comes to like finding solutions for things that we don't even know are going to happen. But trust me, there are people who are able to think that way. And when they ask those types of questions, you start thinking, wow, that's a really good question. I never would have thought of that. I didn't think of that. So yeah. All right. So the next one, we're effectively managing risks. I think this goes along with number 6, when it starts being ahead, when it starts thinking ahead and being ready for the unexpected. You want to basically think of things that could go wrong, and then those are the risks that we talk about, like things that could go wrong, and what are you doing to mitigate the impact on the project or whatever it is that you're working on. Let's see, setting realistic and yet challenging goals. That's another. I think this is going to be more like your project manager. All right, so it says minimizing complexity. I think we can all agree on this. When you are able to deliver complex messages in simple terms, I think people that make that happen definitely stand out. You have to keep in mind the audience that you're talking to. That's when I think basically that's what it boils down to. You need to speak to you need to tailor your presentation, your speech to the audience that you're speaking to. If you're giving a presentation to a lot of high level executives with a business background, you don't want to throw in too many engineering details, because they just don't care. They're going to care about what's the bottom line, how is this affecting the business or the project timeline to achieve or hit the goals that we're supposed to be hitting by this date, and so forth. So just keep that in mind. And there's a couple of other ones here. Assuming taking ownership and taking action, basically taking responsibility of the things that are in hand. I mentioned this in the past, that you shouldn't just like sit back, relax, and say that's not your problem. If it's not your problem, then whose problem is it? And then and why you're there? Engineers, we're usually hired to solve problems, to help things. And if we don't do it, then who's going to do it? Like, why are you there, right? So that's my take on that one. Let's see. The next one, team building characteristics, like communication, getting along with others, being courteous, having a solid team definitely does go a long way. And then the last one says here, knowledge utilization. Knowledge is power, but it's not always what you know. It's how you use it, which makes it one of the personality traits that are extremely hard to master. Although most engineers within the same discipline share the same knowledge, not everyone uses that knowledge in the same way. This is primarily because it's a special skill to organize our thoughts and implement them properly. This is a huge advantage during the planning and execution process of every project, as one can share information that can be vital in ensuring that the project will be a success. This is true. I want to say one of the things that we did when I was going through the engineering design process and research and development, one of the things that we did was whenever you are developing new requirements, whenever you are perhaps implementing a new technology, there's a lot of different engineering fields and engineering minds that are needed, and their knowledge and their experience can be extremely useful to developing a new component for innovation or maybe new technology in order to, number one, design things efficiently and properly, but also mitigating risks and preventing things from going wrong in the future. So there you go, guys. I know that I ranted a little bit around here, but I think that was important to share these personality traits. And I think, like, I also want to say that, I mean, all these personality traits, these are things that you can work on. These are things that they're not like you're not born with these, and these are things that you can develop. I mean, some of them you may be good at more than others, you may be better at than others, but these are things that you can develop, and that I think generally if you are able to develop these and you work on them, and then you have a solid technical background, oh man, the sky's the limit, guys. So, or maybe in engineering terms, maybe I should say the sun or Mars. All right, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop me a like, consider subscribing. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.